A pleasant day to each and everyone. I am Jean E. Palalan, a second-year BS in English student at Negros Oriental State University, Shatan Campus. For today's video, I am going to answer some questions regarding the movie The Labours of Hercules. So these are the questions that highlights this video. Number 1. Why did Hercules consider himself unequal to the gods? Number 2. Discuss the circumstances surrounding Hercules' birth and what was the role of Zeus and Hera. What does this story confirm about the Greek gods? Number 3. What similarities does Hercules have comparable to Samson in the Bible? And number 4. How is Hercules similar to Christ? And lastly, what do we learn about sin and atonement from Hercules, and what were the 12 labors for? Before we will dig deeper into it, we must know first who is Hercules. The Latin version of his Greek name, better known as Hercules, was the all-around action hero of Greek mythology. Hercules is the consummate Greek hero who is strong, fearless, cunning, and a man of action who manages to complete every single one of his 12 labors despite the various hardships and setbacks he faces. The 12 labors of Hercules were a number of tasks that the mythical hero Hercules was told to complete by King Eurystheus. It all started when Hera, who loathed Hercules for he was a living example of her husband's infidelities, drove the hero mad, making him kill his wife Megara and his children. When he realized what he had done, he deeply regretted it and went to the oracle of the Delphi to ask for penance. There, he was told to serve Eurystheus, king of tyrants, for 12 years. If he completed all tasks, he would be given, or he would become immortal. Although Hercules did not like this, as he considered Eurystheus to be a lesser person than himself, but he decided to follow the oracle's advice. When he arrived in Tiryns, Eurystheus initially asked Hercules to perform 10 labors. These 12 labors were to kill the Nemean lion, to kill the Lernaean hydra, to capture the Cyrenian hind, to capture the Erymanthian boar, to clean the stables of Aegeus in one day, to kill the Stymphalian birds, to capture the Cretan bull, to steal the mares of Diomedes, to steal the girdle of the queen of the Amazons, Hippolyta, and to steal the cattle of the monster Geryon. Take the golden apples of the Hesperides, and lastly, to capture the Cerberus. After the 12 labors were completed, Hercules decided to join Jason and the Argonauts in their attempt to obtain the golden fleece. So, here's the questions. Why did Hercules consider himself unequal to the gods? Hercules considered himself unequal to God because of his strengths and abilities that are different from other mortal. He is the strongest man on earth. He has this ability that could kill the enemies of God, and most importantly, because of his mother was mortal and his father was the king of gods, who is the most powerful of all gods. So he was half god and half mortal. So with this, he inherited the strengths of his parents. Number 2. Discuss the circumstances surrounding Hercules' birth and what was the role of Zeus and Hera. What does this story confirm about the Greek gods? So Hercules' birth was not easy. It made Hera grow jealousy towards his strength. This enabled her to give the 12 impossible labors of Hercules to completely eradicate him from the world. In this movie, Zeus was known to be Hercules' father. Meanwhile, Hera, the jealous wife of Zeus, was the one who gave Hercules the 12 impossible labors that he must fulfill. So the story only shows how the Greek gods or goddesses wanted to maintain supremacy over men and stay in powers despite being surpassed by mortals. So they always see that they can eradicate them and stay being the best of all. And number 3, what similarities does Hercules have comparable to Samson in the Bible? Hercules and Samson share many similarities. They were both born out of unordinary circumstances. Samson was born to a barren woman who was visited by an angel. From conception, Samson was special because he was a Nazarite, or a man dedicated to God that wouldn't touch strong drink or cut his hair or beard. Hercules was born to Zeus' mistress Alcmene and was special from birth because of his father, the greatest Greek god. Hercules demonstrated his strength as an infant when he strangled two snakes. Hercules and Samson had the involvement of gods or a god which they either inherited or were given certain powers from in their lives since conception. They were both born into conflict. Samson was born in a time where the Philistines were dominating his homeland of Israel. Hercules was born into a hostile environment surrounded by Hera's attempts to kill him. Throughout their lives, both Hercules and Samson overcame many obstacles with their great strength. Samson killed 30 Philistines, set 300 foxes in fire in the Philistines' fields after discovering his wife had been given to another, broke his bonds when captured, and killed 1,000 Philistines with a donkey's jawbone. Hercules completed 12 challenging labors, rescued the princess of Troy from a sea monster, and helped Zeus defeat the giants battling for control of Olympus. A striking similarity between Samson and Hercules is that they both defeated a lion. Samson used his strength to kill a lion in Timnah, while Hercules killed a lion at the hills of Nemea as one of his 12 labors. Hercules and Samson's first marriages both failed after Samson killed 30 Philistines. His father-in-law gave away his wife to another man, thinking from Samson's rage that he no longer wanted her as a wife. Hera put a spell on Hercules when he was a young adult that made him temporarily crazy, causing him to kill his wife Megara and their 2 kids. Samson and Hercules both loved their wives, and the endings to their marriages were very tragic indeed. The two both had strong, dramatic reactions as a result of their grief. Samson, reacting with anger, set 300 foxes on fire in the Philistines' fields. Hercules, reacting out of guilt and depression, sought out Apollo and asked him to be punished for his crimes. Hercules and Samson were both faced with death because of a woman. Delilah found Samson's weaknesses and informed the Philistine lords of it, who, once Samson was weakened, gouged out his eyes and captured him. When the Philistines' lords were making fun of Samson in their temple, he grasped the middle columns that the temple rested and pushed with a great force, killing himself along with many others. Hercules' second wife, Deianira, accidentally poisoned him, causing Hercules to choose death over life and asked his friends to build him a funeral pyre and then light it. Hercules and Samson both ultimately chose death over life. Samson gathered the last of his strength to bring the Philistines down, no longer being able to bear their mockery. Hercules could no longer endure the pain a poisoned cloak was causing him, so he favored being burned alive rather than suffer anymore. Number 4. How is Hercules similar to Christ? Hercules demonstrated his strength right from birth. He choked the serpents that had been sent to him by the jealous Hera. Jesus was also marked for death as an infant, due to a prophecy proclaiming a new king would be born in Bethlehem. King Herod the Great sought to remain firmly ensconced on his throne, and believing the prophecy meant his reign would end, declared newborn infants to death in the hopes of killing the one the prophecy referred to. As men, both Jesus and Hercules performed miraculous or superhuman feats of strength, will-powered, and self-disciplined. Jesus was burdened with having to prove himself as the Messiah and messenger of God. He traveled throughout Judea and performing miracles and casting out demons. Hercules also traveled the earth as a man, helping mankind and performing feats such as slaughtering monsters and demonstrating humility in mundane tasks such as cleaning stalls. Number 5. What do we learn about sin and atonement from Hercules? What were the 12 labors for? Hera was one of the worst Greek gods for seeking revenge. Of all Zeus' illegitimate children, Hera hated Hercules the most. In a vain attempt to placate her, his mother named him Hercules, meaning Hera's glory. But this made no difference to poor Hercules, as Hera eventually tricked him into killing his wife and children, disguising them as dragons and demons. Despite not being at fault, Hercules was made to atone for his sin. So in here, at the end, there is always a way to pay for the sins that are committed. That is why he was tasked with 12 labors, and only then he would be absolved of his crimes. The labors of Hercules given to him by the king Eurystheus of Tiryns in Mycenae consumed much of his life, but his atonement had an important role in eradicating the natural world of many of its monsters. So that's all, and I hope you have learned in this discussion. Thank you.